Good evening, my name is Alicia Fuentes and today is 13 October 2016. I will be going over ethical leadership, work goals, and performance appraisals for the U.S. Army, focusing on questions 41 through 53. The given answers for each statement were yes, no, and sometimes, and then I'd like to go into an explanation for why each statement was answered the way it was. 41. Our organization's commitment to ethics is reflected in specific managerial actions and not just rhetoric. In the United States Army, I said yes to this question, based on the fact that the U.S. Army not only trains ethical behavior on a quarterly basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, depending on the unit that you're in, but also that they train you to act upon your ethical behavior both on and off post. So 24 hours a day, not just while you're in the workplace. So my answer to this statement was yes. 42. Our managers exhibit ethical traits in their private lives outside work. Now, the reason I put sometimes is because I think you've seen many articles over the past few months about senior leaders that have really showed some pretty extreme unethical behavior. One example that the Army does not make public are often extreme criminal behavior as well as unethical behavior that the Army does not make public. So a lot of the unethical behavior within the military that happens, you don't see. So that's why I put sometimes. 43. At work, our managers are honest, credible, respectful, and fair. I again put sometimes. There are so many different units in the military that each manager is different, each commander is different. Not all commanders are honest and respectful, and not all are fair. So that's why I decided to put sometimes for question 43. 44. Our managers encourage others at work to behave ethically. Now, in the units that I've experienced while being in the military for the last 13 years, my commanders have diligently gone out of their way to behave ethically, to not only talk the talk, but also walk the walk. So they trained their companies on how to behave ethically, and often more than just a quarterly basis. Sometimes it would be weekly, sometimes it would be daily. So it just depends on which unit you're at. But my answer was yes. I do believe that commanders encourage others at work to behave ethically. 45. Managers take appropriate action after employees share their ethical concerns. What I've experienced in the military is yes, that any unethical behavior that commanders see, whether that be formal action or informal action, this does take place. Informal action could be in the form of a counseling statement. Multiple counseling statements obviously turn into something formal, and then actions would go forward up to the higher echelon commanders. So yes, I do believe that commanders take appropriate action after employees share their ethical concerns. 46. Employees are surveyed about the extent to which they believe managers behave ethically at work. Yes, the Army has come up with this command climate survey. So the command climate survey is given within 60 days that a new company commander takes over. For the battalion commander, which on average is about 3 to 4 companies, maybe more, has 90 days to do this command climate survey. And they basically ask within the organization, what do all the subordinate leaders and soldiers believe where their organization is at ethically, morally, and legally. So yes, we are surveyed a lot within the military on ethical behavior. 47. Our work goals are jointly determined by managers and their subordinates and linked to organizational objectives. I put yes. Commanders lay out their organizational objectives very, very clear, and especially with ethical behavior. Across the board, within the Army, unethical behavior is not tolerated. So yes, I think that managers and their subordinates are linked very clearly to the organizational objectives. We have to be in the military so that we can accomplish unique mission sets. 48. Our work goals are specific, measurable, challenging, and attainable. Yes, in the military, your mission sets are very specific, and you're able to measure and quantify things very easily in the military. Goals are challenging, but are attainable. So yes, I do believe this. We use 360-degree performance evaluations to obtain a holistic perspective of an employee. So in the military, there is a system called MSAF 360, which allows peers, subordinates, and senior leaders to access a database of sorts to discuss and mentor other soldiers within your organization or perhaps outside of your organization. This is a very, very helpful tool, especially when the turnover in the military is very, very high. So yes, we do use a 360-degree performance evaluation. Performance appraisals measure ethical behaviors and attitudes. So in the military, a performance appraisal, we call this an evaluation, happens on average annually. So annually within your appraisal, there will be a statement on there saying that either you have adhered to ethical behavior or you have not. So yes, I believe that performance appraisals do measure ethical behaviors and attitudes. The only downside is it's sometimes hard to quantify ethical behaviors on an evaluation. But overall, yes, we do this in the United States Army. 51. Employees engaged in unethical behaviors are warned and disciplined. So there was a question like this before that we discussed. Unethical behaviors, is there a form of, do commanders let their subordinates know when an unethical behavior has happened? I put sometimes. Each unit is different. What I've experienced is yes. Commanders will warn and discipline via that be informal or formal ways. So again, I put sometimes because I don't think that every unit does this, and an unethical behavior could be something as simple as lying or stealing. So it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's illegal or perhaps morally wrong to one person is not morally wrong to another. Punishments for unethical behavior reflect the magnitude of the violation. I put sometimes. Different commanders will have different punishments for the same unethical behavior. So I don't think that at all times commanders reflect the magnitude of the violation. Just because you have a wide span of commanders and what they believe should be the punishment for unethical behavior. Ethical integrity is a critical factor when considering promotions. After doing some research and going through some of the ranks that I've gone through, I don't think that promotion boards take ethical integrity into consideration. It's hard to quantify. You see it on an evaluation, such as this soldier has adhered to ethical behavior, but it's very hard to quantify. So no, I do not believe that ethical integrity is a critical factor when considering promotions. So at the end here, I wanted to tally up basically my answers for these 13 questions. And as you can see, there are 8 yes answers, 1 no, and 4 sometimes. So overall, I do think that the U.S. Army adheres to ethical behavior. Is every unit perfect? No. But overall, the military trains and trains and trains its soldiers, senior leaders, on acting ethically, morally, and legally. My references for this particular event were actually 2 to 3 Army captains that I asked these same questions to, and we actually came up with the same answers. Some were somewhat different, so if my answer was different from theirs, I tried to have a dialogue with them to see why they thought this way, and sometimes I stayed with what I thought, and then other times I would change that because they made a very good point and they had a different perspective. Thank you very much, and have a great evening.